Good morning. This is Dr. Mia Lueth. It is approximately 7:55 a.m. Eastern Time, U.S., New York, U.S., and it is March the 21st, 2026. Yeah, it's a Saturday. So, it is the Winnipeg Jets game day. Just for now, though, this one is just going to be a non-hockey related, having to do with anomalous research. I do have a higher degree in metaphysics, and my specialty is parapsychology, dealing with theoretical physics dealing with more quantum based study, including telekinesis and certain spiritual situations that may not be what some people think. But today I am just getting on the record that I have seen UAP, which, in case anyone is not aware, the term UFO, unidentified flying object, has been changed to UAP, unidentified aerial something. I'm not sure. Phenomena, sorry. PH. It's phenomena is spelled with PH. So I can say that, throughout my life, I probably have seen some things that really probably couldn't be explained, but I kind of allowed myself at least three full decades of understanding what is normal in the sky. Okay, so different cloud formations, different refractions of light, different types of aircrafts, for instance, commercial airline, some military, some private jet. There are a lot of different things, helicopters, and nowadays drones. So, I am very, very used to seeing these things. So I know to wait, because I can say there's a phenomena I had when I was living over on Rebecca Court on the third floor. I would look out my window at a certain time during the day, and it would look like there's a star, a shiny star, or a planet, right? But if you wait long enough, and you do have to wait, okay, just glancing and just saying and just taking one picture, this is the thing, is that, it looked like it was hovering, and it looked like it was there for a long time. Well, I happen to know, okay, well, it's not the moon, I know it's not this or that, and I know that the brightest planet during this time of day or evening would be Jupiter, but I can see Jupiter out the back window, so I know that's not Jupiter. And it seems like it just is hovering there. But it's not, because I was on the third floor, so I was up at a certain level. If you wait long enough, then it starts becoming more clear that I was looking at a plane with this commercial jet, with its headlight on. Okay, they have a singular headlight in the front there, and I was right perfectly lined up with its flight path. So these were planes that were definitely landing, and my best guess, because of how low they were at a certain point, would be BWI, Marshall Airport. Right. So sometimes, okay, you have to wait. and you have to be aware of what things look like, because there are things that can be, somewhat of like little illusions of the eye or refracted light, so on and so forth. So, I have years and years and years of practice looking at the sky, and I grew up an amateur sky watcher, not just at night, but during the day as well. So, I also began to notice that, that's a commercial flight path. All right, so even though it looked like at first it was some light that was just sort of hovering there, okay, I knew it couldn't be Jupiter, I knew it couldn't be the moon, and those are the two brightest things that would be in the sky at that point in time, and most definitely it was not those things. However, and I mean, I had to count to a full 22 seconds before it got close enough, and it was slowly, little bit by little bit descending, because likely it was coming in for a landing from that area of the sky, flight path. So once I saw one, I knew if I looked over there and saw anything else, it had to be an airplane coming in. Occasionally I would stop and look just to make sure, but yes, just an airplane on a certain flight path that was descending, had to be descending, and likely the distance, it was probably coming in for landing at BWI, so likely that was a BWI flight path for landing. Okay, just a plane. Okay, but the way that it was lined up, I quite literally had to count 22 seconds before it started becoming more clear that it was an airplane. So, if you want to study these things, you have to understand, okay, don't just take a glance, wait 3 seconds, and then assume anything. This is not appropriate. It's not a scientific way to handle things, and it most definitely will mean that you will be wrong a lot if you do that. So this is just an example I wanted to give for those who want to study these things. One, you have to know what is in the sky and what it looks like, and when it would be normal to see Jupiter, and when it would be normal to see the moon, and certain other things. You understand? So that's just one of them. But yes, I waited, and at one point I did count 22 seconds before it started becoming more clear that it was a plane that was descending and coming in for a landing, flight path. It's a normal, regular flight path, right? But so I have seen some things. And it's the one thing that I wish I had is some type of video recording equipment that I could have on me every single time I go outside, so that I would get in the habit of turning it on, and that way I would have something. But it has to be of decent quality, that I could use to immediately react to something I'm seeing in the sky that is very unusual, anomalous. Okay, so anomalous, however, you need to understand, could mean anomalous to me. Okay, it may not be anomalous to people who work at airports, people who work with X projects, which is in the United States, some kind of like aerial hush-hush technology. To them, no. And that is the one thing that I would really like to have, is some kind of insider who would know with, obviously probably a top secret clearance, who would know if it's some kind of U.S. Aerial project. Most of the time they're called X projects. Right. I wouldn't need to know anything else, but if I see something, I would feel better if I could just sort of, is that us? Because I only need a yes-no answer. I don't need to know anything else other than, is that us? Alright? Especially since I'm very close to Dover. I'm close to, in terms of aerial situations, quite a few possible military aerials, including Andrews Air Force, Dover, and some other places that might be testing X-planes or aerial, classified aerial projects. Okay, so my only want there would having a contact that I could easily just quickly contact and say, I'm such and such and such, I'm looking at approximately this area of the sky. Is that us? Is that a U.S. hush hush project? I would only want to know yes or no. If the answer is no, well then I would say, okay, DEFCON level, woo, hello. Right, raise the DEFCON level because it could be in other countries. Alright, so, that's something that I'm just putting out there. It's the only thing I would want to know, is if what I'm seeing, and the hope is I could record it. This, like, even with a camera phone, I saw something the other day that indicated if I could get it recorded, I could then put it online and ask some people, have you ever seen one of these before? Now, it didn't seem to me, I'll put it to you this way, it didn't seem to me as though it might be otherworldly, okay, but it's definitely highly unusual, okay. So now that drones are more popular and the public has them, I've seen them, I've seen varieties of them, kind of how they maneuver, and a lot of them for nighttime do have sort of red and green lights, because some of them do have night vision cameras and things like that. But I saw a green lit. It was green lit. Alright, now the way it appeared in the sky, I'm approximately the size, maybe 2 foot long and 1 foot high, maybe 2 foot, probably a little less than that, because it was very close in proximity, and it just seemed to come from out of nowhere, come down at this speed, right, this speed, alright, and I know it wasn't a plane, absolutely, not a single plane have I ever seen that would look like that, has lighting like that. It was too close, I would have heard something, and even if it ran silent, it was very small, very, very small. So, you'd have to have a Lilliputian in there if it was some kind of spacecraft. The only thing that it might have been would have been a drone that was landing. However, because it was there was still light in the sky. It was semi-light, so sort of like the light that the sky would be during sunset and sunrise. So it wasn't full bore daylight. The likelihood that it was a drone is about 25%. Okay? So I'm one of those kind of people. I do have a genius level IQ, but one of the things that I am really adept at is spatial reasoning. Ever since I was a little kid, aptitude tests, I always test at the 99 percentile or higher. So, very few people on Earth are as good as it as I am, just naturally. So when I say 25%, I'm in my head calculating all kinds of factors that most people don't. So it's kind of like if you ever seen the movie Rain Man, where Charlie Babbitt drops the toothpicks, and Rain Man looks and doesn't take very long and just says how many toothpicks. See? So, I mean, if I saw somebody dump a bunch of toothpicks on the ground, I might be able to come with an approximate number. You understand? Alright? But more likely it would be like, okay, clean up that mess. That's disorderly. Like, there's clutter on the floor. So 25% is pretty gosh darn even scientifically accurate. There are reasons for that. It does not, they don't usually descend in this angle. Like, I'm doing the speed and the angle. Okay, so this angle and this speed. Usually that angle is not common to any of the drones that even the public could have, because yes, they can up and down, you see what I'm saying? They don't usually do it that way. And I could see a little tiny bit of, let's just say, dark colored body, but it was more like probably it was very, very close in proximity, not something far away. Right? It's another reason I thought drone, because it was quite literally in Elkton, so it was very small. But it was probably the size of my fist, the actual vehicle or whatever. So, not likely a drone. Okay? Could have been someone else playing with something, they made. It could have been, it wasn't any, I certainly don't hallucinate. I'm sober all the time. I don't use anything that would do that. So, it was the speed and the angle, and the fact that it came at it quite literally nowhere. Alright? There was no, it kind of like came, it's not because I was looking in that direction. I was already looking in that direction. And it didn't like come out from a cloud. There was nothing that was hovering like a drone would. So I don't know what that was, but it didn't really seem otherworldly to me. But like a publicly owned, used, out in the world drone, I don't think so. unless law enforcement has like specialty drones nowadays. And I mean, I've seen a few of them, so I can't say that that's what I was looking at. Anyway, I mean, it's the angle and the speed that was really, and I could see likely the size of whatever it was about the size of my fist, and it was dark, so I'm just putting that out there. But in a case like that, even though I had my phone in my pocket, okay, by pulling my phone out and then using the code to get in, the lock screen, and I mean, it was already gone. There's no way I couldn't. So, you know, I wish I could have something on me that was decent camera so that when I saw things, I could record, but also record so I can look at it and see if the camera picked it up. I'm not the only one who does that kind of thing, right? So if I look at a camera and it's not showing in the camera, but I can see with my own two eyes, that could mean a couple things, but it does help discern certain things. I have seen objects that at first appear to be just man-made satellites. Not really sure what kind, but I'm used to seeing man-made satellites. They travel one way. I know what the ISS looks like. I mean, I can differentiate the ISS from any other thing in the sky, just eyeballing it, just knowing, right? And so I have seen things that at first look like could be communication satellite, whatever, a man-made satellite that, you know, but they all go one direction. They just sort of across the sky and off you go, traveling at different rates at different heights. But I've seen situations more than once where it looks like, and this is, you know, it's always been after midnight where I am, pre-dawn after midnight, so probably between 2 and 4 a.m., where it just looks like, you know, it looks like a satellite, man-made satellite, but then it stops moving and just stays there for a while, and then changes direction, and then disappears. Yeah, man-made satellites never work that way, so clearly these things, of course, having something with me available would be helpful. To have some sort of camera I can use and just have it on the whole time I'm outside. So, you know, in one instance did that. In another instance, there was a little bit of a flash, a quick flash in the sky, and then what looked like, you know, a regular, everyday satellite that man-made, just, but then, so, but it appeared, okay, after a little bit of a flash in the sky, and didn't stay at the same height. It appeared to be slowly descending, and then stopped, and then turned, and then appeared to be slowly ascending. So I saw one do like a zigzag, a real quick flashlight, barely perceivable, right? And then slowly across the sky, slowly, very low grade, less than 10, less than 5, maybe 5, or between 3 and 5% grade. But then changed directions, and then seemed to be at about 3% rising, did like zigzag. And then at some point, from a little bit higher from where it appeared, the flashlight was so quick it was barely perceivable. Just disappear. So, this is why a grant would be helpful. And this is also why I ask if anybody's got, older equipment or used equipment or something. If I could, somebody could give me something, then, right, I could just get in the habit of having it running while I'm outside. Because I do sometimes see daytime phenomena too. But those are just examples. I have recently seen, in the last 6 months, something that's very hard to explain. I ruled out the moon. And that took me a little while. I was sure. I made sure there were 3 points of information that allowed me to completely rule out the moon. It sort of like, it looked a little bit like there was a light behind clouds. So, let me put it to you this way. Even the cloud looked very peculiar. Okay? I love watching the sky, even during the day, so even clouds I'm used to. Certain kind of birds, the hover. Right, so it looked like a little bit like a traveling wall. And I can say that I don't have any recollection of ever seeing a cloud like that before. And whatever was either behind it or in it was at least the size. I'm trying to think of something comparable that I could, of the Statue of Liberty. Let's just use that. Up in the sky, right? It was likely, I would say, a little above the hard deck for any helicopter. So helicopters have hard decks. So about 19, I think, thousand. Anyway, so it was less than 30,000 feet. It was between 20 and 30,000 feet. I do have some training in angles, but I'm really good with angles too, spatial reasoning, and I'm used to looking at the sky, like I said. So my best educated guess is between 20 and 30,000 feet. And in this wall, right? At first I thought it was the moon, but then I thought, wow, that's a weird cloud. And then I looked and I'm just like, wait, no, that is for sure the moon, because I can see, right? But it was kind of like the moon on a 3/4 moon. And it was fairly bright behind. But it was an amorphous shape. Okay? So, of course, light traveling through something that looks like a cloud, refraction is sort of a fuzzy. Not a very clear. But it did have a certain shape. But it was, there wasn't a lot of detail. But the shape stayed the same. But considering, the size of the Statue of Liberty, it's pretty big. Wasn't the moon. It didn't travel like any kind of airplane. Okay, I've not ever run across any kind of airplane that would look like that. And I've seen a lot of military airplanes too. And, it did not feel man-made. It didn't track like it was man-made. I sensed it and I tried to read its energy. It did a lot of things, and it most definitely did not come across to me in any way as human-made object. And it just kind of, it was amorphous, sort of. It kept the shape, but it was, moving. Could have been the light refracting. So this weird cloud, and then this, it was a bright enough light that I thought it was the moon behind the clouds. Like a 3/4 moon behind the clouds. And there's no way I could explain it. This is definitely not any kind of drone. It was huge. And it was all light. It didn't seem to have any other, body. It would just seem to be a light. A white light that sort of maintained the same shape, but it was bright enough that you could see it through the wall. And looking at it, reading it, all these things, to me, did not seem man-made at all. And it didn't seem like it had, any kind of metal body or physical aircraft. It was just all light. And it just slowly, at this rate, I'll just do the rate. Went across the sky. And it was moving toward Delaware, so I'm in Maryland, so it was going east, between 20 and 30 feet, and the cloud itself was extraordinarily unique. Now, like I said, I'm used to looking at these things, so when I say unique, it means I've never, ever once seen a cloud like that. It didn't even act like a water cloud, a regular, everyday cloud that's formed by water, even unique clouds. It didn't fit into a nimbus category, it didn't fit in the stratus, it didn't fit into any category. So, I don't know what else to say, but those two definitely moved together. And then at some point, I think there were some heavier clouds over Delaware, and those were normal Earth-based kind of clouds. So that wall kind of went behind and above, where I couldn't see it anymore, the clouds that were over Delaware. So, I see these things, I have the experience, I am able to read certain things energetically, and years and years of experience of just looking at the sky and knowing my spatial reasoning skills are, yes, kind of like Rain Man looking at the toothpicks and telling you how many toothpicks. So I sometimes have to use approximations because it does get a little trickier when you're in the sky and things are moving at a certain pace. So I have to use approximate sizes, but I'm pretty close to spot on with, I think the object was about the size of Statue of Liberty. It's the one thing on Earth I could think of that, right. I'm not saying it was really the shape entirely, but the size from bottom to top was definitely about the size of the Statue of Liberty. And I know the difference between certain clouds, and I even checked to see if there was like a new kind of cloud that had been, and it quite literally, there was not a single cloud, stratospheric cloud, or cloud in our atmosphere that resembled this cloud, because it just didn't seem to be a cloud that had moisture. And all Earth-based clouds have moisture. That's what they are. So, yeah. I mean, that's why I could use a grant, so that when I'm just out and about, I can just have a camera running all the time, and then I can, okay, nothing of any interest happened. I didn't get anything. I can just erase the whole day at the end of the day. But, so something I can cut it out. I've seen quite a few other things, but these are the ones that I'm just mentioning right off the top of my head. And so I've been an independent anomalous researcher for, at least 40 years. And always been interested in theoretical physics, but not something I want to do for a living, because it's a slower science. It's sort of, you gotta wait. You gotta wait some more. I believe in longitudinal studies. But for those who study UAPs, I mean, for sure, at 100%, I have seen some things that cannot be explained by, everyday, regular things. And in one case, I think it probably could have been an X project, classified, having to do with the United States government. But I do wish that I had a contact that they could at least, at the very least, just say, I just saw this at approximately, is that us? Yes or no answer only. I don't need to know. I just need to know if you guys are testing something. Is that what I'm saying? Because if not, raise the DEFCON level. I don't know what to tell you. Could be another country. And it could be otherworldly. So anyway. Yeah, UFOs are not or UAPs, formerly not my main area of study, but I definitely have seen some UAPs, for sure. And I'm going to know why. I mean, I discount. Can't be man-made, can't be this. There's no way it's this. I would not mention them if I know I hadn't done the right kind of thinking. Appropriate for paranormal research and, the study of UAPs. So that is not my, main area of study, but it does count as anomalous, and it does count as paranormal, and some of it metaphysical. So there it is. I have to get ready now, shut this down, because it is a game day, and the game is earlier today. So the Jets check-in will be happening here shortly. Just got a notification. But that's also another reason why I could use a grant, and those interested, I've just, in the past less than 6 months, recently saw the one with the strange cloud that did not appear to me to be, I couldn't even read water. Didn't appear to be a cloud that was made from moisture or water, to be honest. So anyway, that's that. So I'm Dr. Mia Lueth, and that's just, I guess, anecdotal stuff for the internet or anybody studies anomalous. And I definitely classify those things as definite UAPs. Alright, so, be careful out there. And I just putting out there, if I could get, with the right group of people and those who understand, at the very least, some kind of recording device, camera, video that I could have with me all the time, so that I train myself when I go outdoors immediately turned on. And I might actually leave it on when I'm in the house, because occasionally, it's rare, there is also, paranormal activity that happens within a domicile or area that I am in. And I can just every night hours, 6 a.m. to, 6 a.m. the next morning, just erase, because nothing. Right. There's nothing there that would be. So, yes, grants and things like that, and gifted things would be very, very helpful. So there you go. All right. Well, that's Anomalous research, and that I've been doing independently. Not that I won't get with the other groups and other kind of things. It's just, I don't know. I mean, it makes me kind of nerdy, and some people they don't have the time and patience. So those of you who are getting into actual, real, scientific, metaphysical, and because metaphysical can be yes, looked at very scientifically. A lot of people do that. Paranormal, yes, parapsychology. I can assure you, many of you just don't have the patience. You make assumptions. You want the excitement. I mean, going on a paranormal investigation, okay? Maybe one time out of 50, you get some kind of small amount of activity. Some of it could be psychokinetic, coming from the actual investigators, which, a lot of people now need to rule in or rule out. So scientifically, yes, and it is possible that some of the activity that had been around me could have been me, psychokinetically. So these things are more and more becoming more and more normal to research. So what was paranormal in the 60s, likely is not so paranormal in the 2020s. So, but just keep that in mind. Paranormal investigating, despite what you see on TV, like I said, it could be the paranormal investigators that have a type of psychokinetic pull, or certain areas that might be near ley lines, or certain areas that may be ramping up for certain reasons that don't have anything to do with the dead, or yes, I mean, these things are typically a little more longitudinal, and if you need excitement all the time, don't become a paranormal researcher, because you will be bored and upset, and you will think that it's all bullshit. And please remember that a large portion of the human race habituate, and that's why you feel like you've lost the excitement in things, because you need to push it more and more and more, and often, it'll kill you. I'm telling you the truth. Anybody from the U.S. government watches this? If there's any way I can be put in touch with someone that I can just contact, in case I see something, you can tell me yes or no. I don't need to hear any other words. If I see something, it could be U.S. based, X work, experimental, something. But that way, if it's not, maybe those who do go on higher alert, I can alert you guys. Well, I don't know what it is, but it could be another country, it could be otherworldly. But it's over our, right. It's in our sky. That's all I'm asking. Everybody. Alright, so take care. Anybody's got like a camera you can gift me? Or one of those little microphones and the things they use for the ASMR? That would come in handy. Grant money. Hello. Wealthy people. Mr. Wonderful. Hi. Yeah, cash is fine. You know, whatever. Take care, people. Yeah, I know people, other people. Hi. Not the one that was lunatic. She thinks it's all blah, blah. Yes, I am an excellent scientist, and there are people who are still alive who can attest to that. If you have passed away. That's the other thing, is when I go checking with people and others and friends and I find out that they passed away, it gets more difficult as you get older, because that list gets bigger. Take care, everybody. Again, I'm Dr. Lueth.